Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy, and this is of particular note if you drive an electric vehicle. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by somebody rudely trying to get in on the action while I'm doing the intro. That would be Chocolate saying. Eli, Refracted Curvature, 10th Man, Arwin, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, don't let me down, Discord.
Yo,
Woohoo!
Yo, welcome.
Hi-ho diddly.
Excellent, excellent, good stuff. We're going to kick off with our brand new housekeeping question. Any evidence you can have a curved adjacent whilst acquiring an elevation angle?
Nope. You can pretend it's a plane and then think it's a globe.
What do you need for elevation angle again? What do you need for that?
Flat plane.
Oh, what a coinky dink. We got that. That's how the section is used. It's great, isn't it?
I do like this argument so much, because before you do anything, you've got to measure an angle. You're going to need a flat plane for that. So where are you going to beg the question? I mean, it only dawned on me, thanks to Akuma Virus, to be perfectly honest, when he was like, we haven't got there yet. We haven't got there yet. It's like, got where? Well, got to the point where I've got my flat Earth angle measured in the bag, and then I can beg the question of and move that angle to the centre of presupposed spherical Earth, and hope you don't notice that now the angle you've measured on the ground on a flat plane has been moved to the centre of a sphere. But we haven't got there yet, because, you know, we're talking about how we measure angles on flat planes. So I need to get it done, get it measured, and then quickly move on and hope no one notices, so I can beg the question thereafter. But you're going to need a flat plane for that angle measurement.
Yeah, that checks out.
Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Only mathematical evidence, no geometric.
Bit quiet there, Arwin.
Only mathematical evidence.
If all your measurements require a flat plane, then why would you talk about curvature?
Because a good
Because
chunk of the Western
imagination.
world are under the misapprehension that they're on a spherical object.
Exactly.
No physical Earth curve then. Mathematics isn't physical.
Just saying that, it's funny that people think that life can exist on a spherical object. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's definitely the extraordinary claim. Go ahead, Neil.
Oh, it was me. Us New Yorkers all sound alike. I can't understand why they would think that measuring angles requires some kind of spherical math.
Oh, it definitely doesn't.
They probably wouldn't unless they're challenged on their sphericity of their spherical math. That's the problem. They've been challenged on it. Now they're like, oh shit, we don't have that. We have a flat plane that we have to assume is a guy.
I think what they mean is draw a circle that represents a sphere and then draw lines on it.
Hold on, there's a contradiction. Draw a circle that would be two-dimensional, flat. And then pretend it's not two-dimensional and flat. That would be a circle. Pretend it's a sphere. But then it doesn't work in the same way that a circle operates. You know, when you're getting a circle of equal elevation, for example, there's a reason it's called a circle of equal elevation. You know, the clue's in the title, equal elevation. 2D, circle, flat, no elevation, changes, equal elevation. Well, that isn't comporting with something that's spherical in any way, shape or form. So, no, I'm afraid not.
Well, you don't have to work on the really is level unless you want to. You've been given permission, remember?
Thank you very much. I think I should send George Mooser a little thank you letter for that. It's always useful to not have to work on the really is level, in all walks of life. What's that you want doing? Sure. When you say doing, do you mean on the really is level? Because we don't have to work at the really is level.
Wasn't he the editor of Scientific American?
That's correct. George Mooser.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then he knows what each of those words mean in that statement. Because if you're going to be that high up in the science world and you say, we don't have to work on the really is level, then the opposite must be true. He must know how to work on the really is level, but working that way, he's got nothing for it. So he's going to have to go into imaginary land.
But to be fair,
But the best part...
I was going to say we're misquoting him slightly. He did have a weasel word in there that we were missing out. You do realise that, right? Awkward though this may be.
Well, let's hear it.
You don't necessarily have to work at the really is level.
Okay, but if you're going to be the editor of Scientific America, then you know how to say that without the word necessarily and just say, my findings of this project has been on the really is level. But why didn't he say that?
Yeah, but the funny thing is that statement had to be made because he was being, I want to say, challenged on that point by his own side. Because remember, he had that interview. Why? Because Fight the Tight Shirt was telling us all day long how gravity is a force. Remember?
Right.
And then he was challenging this citation by Georgie Mooser, where he's saying gravity is not a force, and he had to correct him when he say, "Well, gravity is not a force, literally."
All right.
I mean, so that's pretty bad.
So basically, when it comes to gravity, the guy says, "I can't prove this on the really is level, but I could make up some words and say." Not necessarily on the really is level, but you can think of it that way.
To this day,
when you want to do math and stuff.
Sleeping Warrior is still quite smug about this. So when I do,
That would be double up.
when I pay a bit of attention to the Skype feeds, which I did a couple of days ago, one of the things I saw was Sleeping Warrior with a photograph, a screen cap of a couple of comments, and above it he'd put, "I do love correcting Fight the Flat Earth." And then underneath it got him stating exactly that, talking about gravity as though it's a force. And then underneath it's got Anthony correcting him with George Mooser from his own interview. And just underneath that, it's just got Anthony going, lol. You know, because he's quite smug about this, because it was him that pushed the issue with Mooser eventually making an appearance as a result of him poking the bear, so to speak, to put it in Anthony's language.
Yeah, that was a beautiful move Anthony made, and Fight the Flat Earth fell for it.
Oh, he's in the chat right now, and he's got the arrows pointing to himself. He says, smug. Indeed. And rightly so, though. You know, he's telling you, yeah, idiot, gravity is a force. You're quoting Mooser out of context. I'm going to get Mooser to tell you how out of context you're quoting him. Hey, Mooser, gravity's a force, right? No. Literally, it's not a force. But we don't have to work at the really is level. That's what he told him.
Well, does anyone who hasn't spoken on the panel want to speak, as this is an appropriate time to interject?
Are you just being polite? Did you want to say something there, Eli?
I'm being a dick. I'm sorry.
And I just want to know we're not talking over any Globers that are destroying us right now, right? Just making sure.
But we're not stopping any flat earthers from speaking either. The floor is definitely yours, as we are all brothers and on equal footing.
I know we're in the middle of housekeeping, but I mentioned this in the pre-show. I got a message from DITRH saying, I take it I don't have to give this dude 3 Bitcoin then. It is 3. That's what he said to me, 3 Bitcoin. So, bloody hellfire, that's a lot of money. Anyway, he was like, I don't have to give that dude 3 Bitcoin then. And it took me a second or two to figure out what he was talking about. And I was like, oh, that was one of your guys then. Lying. I won't swear as we're live. Try and avoid it. What a liar. He said he was here to learn. No, he was here to try and get 3 Bitcoin. That totally changes the context. And I told Dirth this. I said he'd have got 10x the vigor from me. He would have got a lot more pep if I'd have known that was the case. So instead, oh, I'm here to learn. It's the first time I'm ever talking to a flat earther, really. Oh, really? So you haven't been conversing with Dirth then and fulfilling criteria so that you can actually try and get this 3 Bitcoin. Yeah. Just a liar. They all are. Tactics.
All they got left.
But yeah, I would have been a lot more severe with the guy, like the other guy who came previously to try and get Bitcoin. There's been several now, but the one previous to the most recent guy yesterday, the moment I found out he was after Bitcoin, it's like, I'm not going to give you any answers. I'm not going to tell you about, like I did with this guy, give him more than I would normally. I'm not in any happy position to tell somebody who's trying to claim Bitcoin how things work. Whereas in that case, we're telling him how, you're more dense than the air. In other words, I'm tossing him a bone because I think he's here to learn. Right? Now, if you're here to tell us how it all works to get Bitcoin, none of that would have occurred. Certainly wouldn't have got an apology for me telling him off for chanting when he's repeating things we've taken apart. Again, with me under the misapprehension because he's lied that he's here to learn. Right? No.
Right.
That would have been very different. Now, it probably would have been less airable. As in, it's probably a good thing because he kept me a little bit more even-tempered as a result because I genuinely believed what he told me. Here to learn. No, here to win Bitcoin, liar.
Well, he did sound very natural and all. He did sound like it was like the first time he ever stumbled upon this. So we talked about it afterward, how he's a newbie. Well, he certainly knows how to act like one, I guess.
Maybe, but it was actually.
Did call him on it.
Go on,
That's
John.
why.
Sorry.
Oh yeah.
I was just saying, 10th man called him on it. Said he was full of crap.
Oh,
And
did
that's
he?
why I said.
Hold on. Did he? Did you, I was going to ask that in the pre-show. Did anybody actually call him on this? I don't remember hearing that in the. Go on,
I
Tony.
think Neil was the one during the process saying, I don't trust this guy.
Right.
Yeah, but did anybody
Yeah, he
overtly
did say
guess? Did anybody actually state overtly that this guy's probably here to win Bitcoin?
No, nobody said that. Bitcoin did not come up.
Right, so he was successful in his deception, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, and that credits Arwen's point right there. Arwen said he was a good actor. He fooled us all because he seemed natural.
Whoa. I didn't get fooled. I told
Well,
you
I-
he was
You didn't,
genuine.
Neil.
We credited you, Neil. We credited you.
Yeah.
I also didn't because I don't give people attributes that they don't deserve. And the first thing that I noticed and pointed out when the air was clear was that he wasn't here to learn, but that's what he said, so he's a liar.
Well, back to the point I was trying to make that Arwen made is that they're good actors. And until more information comes out, people buy the act because of the empathy and the sincerity of their voice. So just think how much the ballers have been fooled by good actors.
Okay, I've got to clarify that. I
even
don't
that good.
want crap in the comments. I just know that's going to get you crap 10th. Right, actors, just to give clarity. He's not saying paid, trained actor. That's not what 10th's saying. In the same way as if you go and watch the behavioural panel, that's something we discussed yesterday, just as a mild follow-on, they will discuss how people have got a script and how they're acting. Now, by that they mean behaving, and by script they mean the words that you've already decided in your mind you're going to say. Doesn't mean paid to have a piece of paper and words written on it that you're learning line by line. So when we say acting and they're actors, it means they're putting on an act. Just to give clarity. Don't want anyone saying, "Oh, do you know he's a poet?" No, that's not what's being claimed. Just for clarity.
Oh my gosh, does it get that crazy?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's because of our own bloody side. So let's take a breath. Because of some flat earthers. Should I even go here, or should I just carry on with housekeeping? Has anyone?
Carry on with housekeeping.
I was just going to say, toss a coin.
His actual argument was pathetic. Like, I mean, he was trying to appeal to gas pressure, and he was trying to appeal to gravity and gas go down, go boom, boom. I mean, you don't have to be around much to hear that debate to know that's not going to be acceptable. Gravity is not going to be an acceptable justification for gases not expanding out into a vacuum. And that was the crutch of his whole argument that he came here with, that he thought he was, that he said he was at the start.
Where does the buckyballs example come from? Because I know Rumpus uses it or used it. Where does that come from?
I don't know. I just know that gas doesn't behave in the way that they describe it when they say gas go down, go boom, boom, parabolic motions, falling down from the sky, all of this kind of crap. I just know that isn't the case. That is not gas behaviour. But it's gas behaviour in line with heliocentric ideas of forces pulling gases down, because everything goes down, go boom, boom, everything's subject to 9.8 metres per second. So I know why they assert it, but they just haven't thought it through. And it's not his fault or his having a crap argument. It's just the globe argument's crap, because we know how it falls apart now. He's just got a standard globe argument. Now, he kept appealing to it and justifying it. So he's either appealing to gravity, because he needs gas to go down, go boom, boom, even though it doesn't. And Quantum Eraser was pointing out to me, he's like, clouds aren't gas. It's like, yeah, and I don't feel the need to necessarily disclaim that when we've had fairly prolonged discussions about the phase change of clouds and what's going on in that particular scenario. For me, it was just a quick and dirty way of getting somebody to not have to describe the phase change from the puddle into the gas that then rises up to then go into the phase change of the clouds. It's just there's an easy, quick, dirty shortcut to what's that gas doing, without having to say, well, the gas has come from the ground and it's evaporated after a phase change, and then that gas has actually gone up, and then when it's reached a certain level, it started to condense again, and that means it's undergone another phase change in this beautiful balance cycle in the air that we have for a water cycle. But when it's actually a vapour, it's not going down. I don't need to disclaim all that if I just get him to look at a cloud. So, to the very, very justified, that's not actually gas that was pointed out to me. Yeah, I'm well aware. It's just a quick and dirty way of getting there. That was all.
Well, obviously, if you had referred
Can I
to
say
it as...
something? Can I say one thing?
But hang on. Obviously, if you had referred to it as a paid gas molecule, you would have to explain.
Say that again. But
obviously, if you would have referred to it as a paid gas molecule, you would have to have explained it.
Paid?
Paid, P-A-I-D, paid actor, paid gas molecule.
Right on.
It's just silly. Back to that thing, and I'll let Neil jump in there. Russell Crowe is a paid actor. He played the Spaniard in The Gladiator. We're all familiar with that, I take it. So he got paid to act as another person.
Are you not entertained?
Yes, perfect. So this guy talks to Dearth. He comes on the show as another guy, not the same guy that talked to Dearth, coming for Bitcoin. He doesn't even bring it up. He's coming in incognito. So he's acting like a paid actor, but he's not going to get paid because he can't win the argument. End of story.
I'm a dude playing another dude disguised as another dude.
You could also
Tropic Thunder.
You know what? You know what, Chocolate? He's just going to get a Bitcoin part. That's it.
could also call them LARPers, right? Live action role playing. Instead of actors, LARPers.
That term, that sounds like a gamer term. Not familiar with that one.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it is. What's up, Roger?
Yeah, chocolate. Yeah, it's usually
I don't say
done
hi
by
to.
people that play war games, right? They LARP. They dress up
The
like
people that,
soldiers.
yeah, they meet
But
up in the park and dress up in medieval costumes and
Oh,
play out a
okay.
battle scene.
Gotcha. No, that sounds far better than a gamer. No offence to you gamers out there, but of the two, I'm sure one is cast as being the most dweeby thing ever, and that would be the LARPers, correct? They're the biggest dweebs out there. No, I'm pretty sure that they're interacting with other people while they're actually out on the battleground pretending to die with a sword shoved in their armpit. Actually, I think that sounds like a lot more fun than going onto a computer simulation of the exact same thing and doing it as a character with a load of sprites. I know which one I'd rather do. Neither are married, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
You sound like a nerd.
Did you just call me a nerd for saying that I would take one of the lesser of two evils as the LARPing
Yes,
over the
I
gaming?
did.
I don't know. I think we've got somebody who could offer an expert first-hand opinion on this. Arwin, have you ever LARPed? He's disappeared. Of all the people on my regular panel, I would say
people are doing it for health reasons, for exercise and social, a bit of social interaction. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess it's boring just to go outside. You gotta get in the costume and go play a role just to make it worthwhile.
Sorry, what are we talking about now?
People who do it for exercise, instead of just walking and enjoying nature.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, my mind drifted off to me and my wife. I got completely confused for a minute there.
Yeah, it's funny. Anyway, back to housekeeping questions. Unless Neil, you were going to say something.
Any evidence you can have gas pressure without a container?
None whatsoever. The guy tried that one too.
But why were we talking about LARPing again?
It's because he wasn't going to be called a paid actor anymore.
I see. He was having a LARP. That's what he was doing.
Well, he's an unpaid actor because he didn't succeed, and he's a LARP.
Okay, you've got me now. Can you hear me? Freaking crap.
Stop talking, Neil.
I love how everybody bought into the no, don't respond to him.
Jokes.
Yes, we hear you, Neil.
Yeah.
For the audience's benefit, this is definitely going to be worth this. I promise Neil's going to make this worthwhile.
I was just going to say, but this was a while ago. What happened yesterday was great because it's textbook. How to dissect these people and how foolish they sound.
Told you it was going to be worth it. Absolutely textbook. Which bit was textbook? I don't really know what you're talking about, Neil. You've not given enough context. That wasn't worth it at all.
Oh, shut up. The guy you were handing his ass yesterday.
You wanted Bitcoin? Ah, that really bugs me. Because I'd much prefer to have shouted at him a lot more than I did. Oh well, you live and learn.
I told you don't apologize.
I regret it sincerely, Neil.
You know who else has used that? I'm here to learn. I'm just here to learn nonsense line.
Virus.
Kuma Virus. Yep. So that nonsense doesn't go anywhere with me. Oh, I'm here to learn. Yeah, all right.
Oh, why does
After spending an hour and a half arguing with us. Oh, but I'm just here to learn, guys.
I think Brian summed it up.
Why...
Go on, sorry.
I'm sorry. No, I was going to say, I wonder why he's not trying to get 3 Bitcoin.
He was. Brian summed it up yesterday. He wants to learn why us stupid flat earthers don't beg the question of a sphere Earth like he does. That's what he was here to learn.
Yeah, when you come in like that, underestimating what we have in our arsenal, critical thinking, logic, facts, proof, good luck.
Shout out to Godzilla37. He says, is Neil's going to show up today? I haven't heard from him.
Excellent.
No, he shouldn't be so mean. He's paying me a direct compliment, which I didn't realise when I was being mean to him. Thank you, Neil. I appreciate the compliment. Anyway, moving on. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Yeah. No evidence. What is the sun? You're at this 7 years. You don't know what the sun is yet, Nathan?
No, Neil, I don't know what the sun is. Do you?
Having a clue.
Anybody?
That's what's beautiful about us. We tell the truth.
It's a light in the sky, and we have an angular relationship to it.
Yeah, that's something we've recently learned.
Can't we solve the height for it with trigonometry?
No.
The lighthouse on the cliff is a vertical angle when you use the sextant, because you're using the ocean seashore as the base. But you have charts that tell you how high the cliff is, how tall the lighthouse is, and so you're able to do it there. But we don't have that same information on the sun. But we can figure out the angular relationship. And that's where we're at.
There's aspects of this that is being investigated by Tenth and Adam, and they're fascinating in terms of the Masonic implications, which is something that was discussed. Fascinating conversation that we had yesterday, by the way. And in terms of the way that you're measuring the sky, you're measuring it in angles, and then you're translating it down to the ground, the flat plane. Now that 90-degree, what does that represent? What is, in tool terms, a 90-degree tool? Anybody? Not the panel. Anybody in Discord tell me? A square. Right. And you're measuring angles of the sky in degrees. So, your square and compass that the Masons use to represent whatever they're representing, well, this is an aspect of that. You know, when you're describing an angular measurement of the sky and relating it to the ground below, you're talking about square and compass. That's what you're talking about. So,
Well, while we're on that, who could prove to me you could ever have a 90 on the curved surface?
can't. The square bit is related to the ground. You're going to need that 90 degrees. You're going to need that flat baseline. The Earth is obviously observably, measurably, and navigatably flat. That's the square bit. Now, taking the compass bit, which relates to the stars, not that we're going to assert that we know what they are or what height they are in actual terms. You can't acquire that information from this. Now, you can make a set of assumptions about the height that you will use for a flat sky when you triangulate with them, based on the angles that you're going to measure to them. But that relationship is not the ground that you've stood on. Now, when you do that part of the measurement, you need a square, because the Earth's flat. All they've done is reverse engineered how the lights in the sky appear, measured with angles, as I've just described, and reverse engineer that to be the ground that you're standing on. It isn't. But that's how they've done it.
Do you think the G in the Masonic symbol is for gravity or God?
I don't know. I've no clue. I mean, there's been several discussions with Masons and ex-Masons, some of them quite high up in this stuff. And I think it's just by their nature, if they're at that stage in Masonic activity, they end up talking in a kind of cryptic way. And some of the stuff that's been disseminated over the period that I've heard from them kind of falls into line with the investigations that we're doing now. So a couple of days ago, Adam explained that, you know, he got told off by QE. He's like, once you've killed this argument for the ballers, stop, because otherwise people will just think you're talking nonsense. And Adam had to go on to explain, well, no, I'm interested in how this all works. And when you follow those lines of investigation down, you suddenly find that what the Masons are doing and some of their symbology is very applicable to what we're finding out about the nature of the world. Now, does this help us in debunking globe arguments? Well, no, not really. And Adam was quick to disclaim that. But it's fascinating. A lot of what's been discussed is about the Masons. Now, is this a particular subject of interest to me? Well, I've got to be honest, no, it isn't. But then when you see these sorts of correlations, you do raise an eyebrow, which is precisely what I'm doing. I'm going, that's interesting. What do you know? Now, but for the fact that there's been a lot of people in this particular segment of the internet, that would be Flat Earth, that have exposed information about the Freemasons, that, you know, I've got that knowledge to tie together. Does it mean that the correlation means anything? Well, probably not. Maybe. You don't know. But it's just a fascinating folly to look at after the fact. When you're comfortable in your worldview and you know it's flat, you know, it's not like we're going to stumble across this stuff and go, hold on, you're telling me the compass applies to the ground? Oh dear. Because if that was the case, I'd just say, okay, we're on a sphere. Moving on with life. And I'll be comfortable in the fact we're on a sphere in the same way I'm comfortable in the fact we're on a flat plane. It's not the case. We're going to apply that square to the Earth. Doesn't matter which way you like to dice the fact that you're going to measure angles on flat surfaces. That's always going to be the case. This is the best flat Earth proof ever. So there we go. You know, just the Masons know it. We know it. The majority of the Western world are being deceived and kept under control by knowing something that isn't true to be the case when we know otherwise. Sorry, go ahead, Tenth.
Yeah, I'd like to share some new slides plus the slides I shared earlier. If you don't mind going to Master B and talk about the 90. We'll go with the sun over the flat plane with the zenith elevation angle with the azimuth. Do you see that one?
The guy with the sketchy drawing.
No. Keep going forward. You'll see the sun, a little image of the sun over a square with the 90 with words written zenith, elevation, and azimuth.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay. So as you see here in this slide, this is a horizontal coordinate system. Now, where are you as a sextant user, a navigator on a boat or on land or on an airplane with a bubble sextant? Well, you definitely need to nail down horizontal. So if you're on the ship, you aim at the horizon and you bring the sun's image to the horizon and you rock it and do all the stuff that the sextant's designed to do. So this definitely is in the sextant manuals. So if you're going to read the sextant manual, how it operates, it tells you, aim the horizon mirror. They even labeled it horizon mirror at the horizon. Okay, that's why you got calibrated and says set at 0 your degree, and your mirrors have to be perpendicular to each other. And there's a whole bunch of things you got to do to make sure it's an accurate tool before you even put your hands on it to use it. But once you do, you line up the horizon, bring the sun to that, and there is where you get your 90. So it's definitely Earth-based horizontal coordinate system. And we're back to the 90. You need a 90. Now, see, this picture shows how you get a 90 because you need a flat plane. You need a straight adjacent, a baseline. If you go to the next picture, which one is it, Nathan? Because
it hasn't come out.
Yeah, it's okay. That's one of those PNG things. It's not going to show up. Go to the following picture. So it shows a guy with a sextant doing exactly what I described. There's the horizon, that's your adjacent, your baseline. The zenith is your 90, and that star also is got a vertical relationship to that horizon with its 90, where its GP is directly over that part of the Earth. So this is how it's done. This is how you measure altitude, and you can all see that straight baseline, that adjacent to a right angle triangle. If you go, the next one is the image from this morning, pre-show. And so you can see here, this is all from their books, by the way. They're showing you how you're doing it on the flat plane. And then they want you to imagine all the data you got from that flat plane, move it to the center of a presupposed sphere. So they do it on the flat plane, then they move it to center and imagine they live on a ball. But the tool itself cannot work on the ball. That's why they have this tangential plane here, because this is what's happening. And then they say, well, we're actually imagining the angle is from the center of the sun to the center of the earth. You say, well, that's a nice imagination. How'd you get the information? Well, I was on the ocean. What'd you aim at? Horizon. Was it bent? No. So you took that measurement off of a plane, and then you went to La La Land with it. I'm done.
Shout out to Tony Whitcomb, who says, it's quite telling that no ballers are offering a Bitcoin for proof of a flat earth. The money would be gone in a flash. Yeah, right on. The same replies in reverse. You know, why aren't people chasing after this Bitcoin? You know, there should be a flood of people, right? The entirety of the Western world thinks they're on a sphere, and yet, what, we've had 4 people try and get this Bitcoin so far? Life-changing amount of money.
La La Land is also a plane. I mean, going to the center of the earth and then still pretending it's a sphere cut in half. That's still a plane.
Yes, now you're seeing the trickery. But again, they're imagining it's the center of a sphere, and that's the La La Land of it. But they still have to do the plane at the center, because guess what? They have to have a 90. And they do. They have a 90 right on the surface of this beautiful plane we live on. But they're not happy with that 90. They want that 90 to be at the center of something. So they need the plane there too.
Yeah, they're going to need an angle first, though, aren't they? They're going to need a flat plane to get it. Quick shout out to Sleeping Warrior, who's in my chat, encouraging people to give me thumbs up. Thank you very much for being my cheerleader. I really do appreciate it, actually, Sleeping Warrior. It gives me an opportunity to plug the share button as well. So please share the show. Smash that share button. That is the only reason we've got an audience, for all the people out there who've smashed it already. Thank you very much indeed to you for smashing it, if you've done so already. If you haven't, please smash the share button.
Back to Eli's point. Just
Hey, I'm a cheerleader.
Back to Eli's point.
Thank you, Neil.
So when we look at the horizon, that's 0 for us, because it's a horizontal based measurement. So you start at 0 at the horizon and go upwards until directly above you is 90. Okay. So guess what Eli was letting everyone know? That when we do that on this beautiful plane of ours, there's 0 on the equator. That's why the equator is 0.
What a load of crap.
Yeah, indeed.
Sorry, just 0 from the center of the earth to out through the earth to the equator. What the? Anyway, go. Sorry, what were you saying, Nathan?
Well, to go on from what you're saying, you're right. I mean, they're matching it up after the fact. So they're measuring it on a flat plane and then saying, no, this corresponds to my moving of it to a centre of a presupposed spherical Earth, because the stars are infinitely distant, and look how they come in parallel. And it's basically the same as it coming from a presupposed spherical Earth. Nothing to see here, other than me measuring an angle on a flat plane. And check it out. Here's my flat plane. I'll just slap it on top of a sphere. And you're like, all right. So when you do it, you don't need any of the spherical bit. You just need to measure the angle on a flat plane. Yeah. That's why I've got a flat plane slapped on top of this sphere here. You know. All right, well, how do you justify the sphere itself? Well, I assume a physical geometric sphere edge horizon that I can measure to get an R value with a dip angle measurement. And that's basically the same as the dip angle that I'm talking about when we talk about the sextant. Oh, I see. You think that's the same, do you? The height correction that you'd make if you're 10 foot above the deck, then you're going to correct for that. You think that's actually a correction for the dip of the horizon that's moving away from the horizontal. Well, if that was the case, why would you draw a horizontal plane on top of it? You know, you're looking at it with the horizon mirror to establish that flat plane, but you're saying it's dipping away now to justify you moving the angle that you're actually measuring on that flat plane you've slapped on top of your sphere to the centre of the sphere that you don't need to make the measurement. Gotcha. Yeah, thank you, anti-flat earthers. It's nice that we've heard that several times so I can summarise it so easily.
The videos that Tim sent me, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go on, Eli. Go on.
Yeah, man. Like the guy, and it's not the first guy because he sent me. I think the first one, his channel is Practical Navigator. And both times when they're trying to educate like beginners, they say you don't have to worry about the advanced stuff at first if you don't want to. If you want to be able to navigate, you don't need any advanced spherical trigonometry or anything like that. I mean, so then why do they think that we need it?
If they're going from the center of a sphere, don't they need the R value for that? And how'd they get that?
Yeah, they don't. I did just cover that. They assume they've got a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon, and then they measure dip angle. Al Baruni.
You know, on the compass point, do you draw spheres with compasses or circles?
Circles.
Yeah, so not spheres.
No. Was this scientific evidence of gravity?
Well, we'll get down to that real soon. We're just wrapping this one up.
Make up your mind. Is it up or down?
That was a pun.
I know.
I was going to make note that when you hear the ballers say, all you got to do is open the sextant manual and read it. All you got to do is see what it says in there. They lead you to believe like they've done that, right? I mean, if someone's speaking with that much confidence, you figure like, okay, well, he must have done it.
Does it say in the manual to go down to the center of the earth? What does it say in the manual? what the fuck?
I'm just setting you up, Chocolate. You're going to have a lot more to comment on. So when you hear the anti-flat earthers actually say that, you say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to validate what you want me to just take your word for. So I'll go download 4 or 5 sextant manuals in PDF format and just read the whole thing. You walk away after that when you do your own homework and check everybody, including me and Nathan and Chocolate and anybody else who wants to say anything. Find out for yourself by reading it, and you find out exactly what it says. You aim it at the horizon, and you need a 90. The minute they say 90, it's over, because you cannot have a 90 on a sphere surface. Not when the star's GP is 3,000 miles away or 4,000 miles away. That means that radii from that GP to you has to be at that flat baseline adjacent, because it's a right angle triangle that gives it to you. So the minute the ballers say minus from 90, they're no longer on the ball.
10th, if I can just comment on that. I was
Yeah.
talking to a baller last night where he was saying all you need is 2 horizontals at different altitudes. Then at your level, you can calculate your angle. And then if at the GP, it's at a higher elevation, it can still be at a 90 degree as long as you're working with 2 horizontal lines.
I would agree with the horizontal lines, except a sphere doesn't have any.
And a circle of equal altitude means you have to be on that same level of equal altitude.
Yes.
Yeah. So welcome to Flat Earth.
So here's the deal. It's going to come out. It's going to be my next show with Mitchell from Australia. By the way, go sub to his channel, doing great work. The bubble sextant uses a bubble. So what does a spirit level tell us? Someone, the guy that just spoke, why don't you tell me what spirit level tells us?
That liquids will always determine a level, sort of the bubble is the least dense, and therefore it's going to want to rise to the highest point. And then that highest point, when placed level, will be centered on that spirit level.
Perfect. All right. So you're up in the plane. Planes were new to us in the 1900s, but celestial navigation and ships have had a few hundred years, and they've been using the stars to navigate. And so the pilots needed something like that outfitted for the airplane that was working on the ships. So what happens when you're above the clouds and you can't see the horizon? How do you do it? So what they came up with was clever. Let's just match the Earth's surface with a spirit level, and we'll ask the pilot to fly level, and we'll ask the navigator to center the bubble with the sun image on that instead of the horizon. And then he'll take a series of marks over 2 minutes and get the average, and he'll know how to use the air almanac. Is really the nautical almanac, but in lesser stars to work with. The nautical almanac is almost 200 stars you can use for navigation when you're on the ocean or land, whereas the air almanac is 64 total. And now the mariners like the air almanac because it's condensed, lesser volumes, it's much nicer. So everyone's pretty much using the air almanac now because you don't need more than 64 stars to navigate, because you're going to find a few of them anyway. But anyway, back to my point. You're on an airplane 30,000 feet above the earth. You can't see the horizon. How do you do what the mariners do on the ocean up at 30,000 feet? You have to mirror what they have. What do they have? A flat baseline. So you put spirit level into a sextant, you create that flat baseline, then you bring the sun into that center of that bubble and then say mark. Much like the sailor does when he brings the sun to the edge of the horizon, rocks it until it gets a true vertical. And they go through the next process is all the same. And no dip correction is necessary for the aviator at 30,000 feet. But it is necessary, let the penny drop here, please. It is necessary if you're on Earth, with the natural horizon, because you got to get to level. Because on the boat, it's hard to hold the bubble steady. And the most secure thing you can shoot at that's steady is the horizon. And so but you got to get down to sea level to make sure that it's acting like the bubble at 30,000 feet. So the bubble at 30,000 feet is really the ocean level. When you bring dip correction and get your eyeball on the surface, they're both saying, there's your two horizontals. It's all a horizontal.
It's all flat. Anthony, we're on the scientific evidence of gravity tip, and you've got physics just made the smallest gravitational field up for the last 5 minutes. So what gives?
So this is going to be in the context of why peer review is useless. It addresses in the short term scientific evidence for gravity, but the bigger picture for those on our side that get presented this need to be aware that this is why peer review is a joke. So this lady, Michelle Starr, has written an article in this sciencealert.com. Now, it doesn't seem credible on the face of it. It looks like it's popular science, but she leaves a link to her name so you can see who she is. And it says that she's a senior journalist at Science Alert. Her deep love and curiosity for the cosmos has made the publication a world leader in reporting developments in space research. So straight away, you can tell that this is nonsense, right? It's woo-woo stuff. It's obviously biased by this lady who believes in, well, let's look at some of her other articles. Supermassive black holes, ghost particles, all this is pseudoscience. None of this is real world, right? But she's a cosmologist, so that gives her free reign to write any old nonsense. So take this with a pinch of salt, but be aware that it exists. This is a reboot of Cavendish experiment. On the face of it, it supports Blue Marble Science's Cavendish reboot as well, because they're claiming that with a little tiny piece of gold, they were able to attract this little piece of gold, because mass attracts mass. Now, obviously, this is in direct conflict with Einstein, who says that mass does not attract mass. What Einstein says is that one of these masses and the other one of these masses creates a gravity well, and they both fall into it, not with the force of attraction, but with a gravity well. However, the scale involved with Einstein is on the galactic scale. It's not on a piece of little gold on the end of a pin in a lab. So this is, whatever this is nonsense. But the point I wanted everyone to be aware of is this was written in 2021, right? So it's bang up to date. So it's as if they're watching us and somebody's gone out and put their name to it. But what's really interesting in this this video, this thing, I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs. It's done in a vacuum. Now, get this right. Listen to how this is written, right? Bear in mind that it uses the word supersedes. That's the word that we use, and we get. It's not a coincidence that she's used supersedes in this, in my opinion. But listen to what she says. She says, there's a big problem. There's a big problem with the mathematics we use to describe in the universe. In particular, the way gravity behaves. Unlike the other three fundamental forces in the universe, weak, strong, and electromagnetic, gravity can't be described with the standard model of physics. So that throws F equals ma and all this apparent forces nonsense that Craig McNeil talks about into the bin. Anyway, Einstein's theory of general relativity is the model that we use to describe and predict gravitational interactions, and it works beautifully in most contexts. However, when we get down to quantum scales, general relativity breaks down, which is exactly what they're doing with this test here, because it's not necessarily quantum, but it's knocking on the doors of quantum, because we're getting to tiny amounts here, right? And quantum mechanics takes over. Reconciling the two models so far has proven very difficult. General relativity supersedes an earlier model, shout out to Craig and Musa, Newton's law of universal gravitation, which hadn't incorporated the curvature of spacetime. It states that gravitational attraction between two objects is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distances between their centers. Newtonian physics works well for most terrestrial applications, even if it stumbles a little in astrophysical settings. This goes on and on and on. The bottom line I want you all to be aware of is this, on the face of it, supports Blue Marble science, but it directly conflicts with Einsteinian. So where's peer review now? Because somebody in their realm of science over pseudoscience that they claim that they self-moderate themselves. Where's the peer review people calling out this Michelle Starr? Because unless she's claiming that she's debunked Einstein but by demonstrating that mass does attract mass when he says it doesn't, then peer reviews obviously failed in this instance, because peer review's supposed to call this stuff out and it's supposed to be credible, isn't it? So don't be fooled by this article.
Okay, thank you. So what's her independent variable?
Same old nonsense. Same old nonsense.
Does it say? Can you do a quick search to see if you can find it?
Well, what I've done is I've emailed the author of this article, because if you go down to the bottom here, it says this article has been published in Nature, and when you go to the Nature, we've got Tobias Westphal, who appears here, and he's left his email address there. So I've sent an email to him saying, basically, could you confirm your independent variable? I haven't had a response to it yet. It's only been today, but here's a copy of the email that I sent to him. It says, "Hi, my name is Tony. I've read your published article in Nature regarding the gold torsion bar test. Could you please help me understand? Did you comply with scientific method when you did your test? What exactly was your independent variable in your test?" So I've signed it off and I've put my qualifications there, Ranty. But I'm not expecting to get a reply, because I think he'll think that I'm a troll. But I just want people to be aware this article exists and be ready for the ball earthers when they start citing it in support of Blue Marble science, because peer reviews had a day off.
Oh, perfect. You're way ahead of me. So, yeah. Slick. Very slick, Anthony. I love it. I've got nothing to add.
I just want to comment.
Anthony's just took the words out of my mouth. That's epic. I like to be impressed, and I am.
It's
Peer reviews had a
interesting
day
how
off.
they use the word stumbled. They're like, they're stumbling in terms of their theories, not quite 100% accurate. It's just kind of stumbling a little bit, but if it's wrong, it's wrong. It's not just stumbling.
Yeah, the point that we want to rely on is not whether or not mass attracts mass. The point that we need to rely on is where's peer review in this? Because if she's trying to claim that mass does attract mass, because that debunks Einstein, then she needs a Nobel Prize, doesn't she? Because he got one for discovering space relativity and all that nonsense, right? So she must deserve one. So let's ask her to go and claim her Nobel Prize. Because I'm due about 50 according to the trolls.
Yeah, and subsequently gravitational fields and gravity waves have been also proven on Einstein's 100th year anniversary of him saying there would be gravitational waves. So there's
he predicted it 100 years ago. That opened the doorway to such things called space exploration and billions of dollar investments from the governments for exploring all this nonsense called woo-woo. It's nonsense. He's predicted it. It's bound to come around. It's the tip of the cap to Einstein, that bang on 100 years after his death. After his publication of
sorry, for the record, Einstein did not win a Nobel Prize for gravity or anything like that. He won it for the photoelectric effect.
For the photoelectric effect, and he won it for the what was the other one? The photoelectric effect and something else. But you're right, he didn't. But nonetheless, I'm still owed 50 of them by Ball Earth Trolls, and I'm claiming those 50.
You what? Nobel Prizes?
Yeah, he got a Nobel Prize for the photoelectric effect, and he got a Nobel Prize for, what was the other one? I can't remember what the other one was now.
Everything he did wasn't wrong, right? I mean, he'd done dumb stuff, didn't he?
Oh yeah, his photoelectric effect is right, but
he only won
theory
one.
of general relativity.
Einstein
If it's
did
as
not
wonderful
win
as it
2 Nobel
claims,
Prizes, only for the photoelectric effect.
No, he got another one, didn't he? He got 2.
He did not. I just looked it up. He only won 1 prize, 1 Nobel Prize. He might have got some other prizes for other stuff,
Yeah,
but
I'm
only
pretty sure
1 Nobel Prize.
Yeah, he got a silver
So
swimming
he came in
certificate.
second.
Nobody in his field uses the scientific method, guys. It's leaps of logic. It's leaps of logic. It's guesswork.
Does any baller in Discord? Does any baller in Discord want to comment on the claim that there's gravitational attraction and a claim of debunking Einstein? Does anybody want to comment on that?
Just looking up Einstein now, it says that he posted both that theory of relativity and the photoelectric effect in the same year, 1905. And that there was a bit of jockeying within the Nobel Committee to ensure that he won the prize at all.
Right.
The special relativity was 1905. General relativity was 1950.
Okay, with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, smashed the PayPal link, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!